During his patrol deep in the forest, Park Ranger Travis spotted a small, shining object partially buried in the mud. At first, he assumed it was just another piece of trash, something left behind by hikers or campers. With a sigh, he bent down to retrieve it, expecting to toss it in the nearest bin. But as he cleared away the dirt, he realized this wasn't ordinary litter. It was an old, weathered camera. The device looked severely damaged, its metal casing rusted and covered in grime. Despite its poor condition, the unexpected discovery piqued his curiosity. He couldn't help but wonder who had left it here and what stories might be hidden within its photographs. Although Travis initially thought the discarded camera was litter, he couldn't be upset about finding it in the forest. Instead, he found himself fascinated by this little relic. As a young man accustomed only to modern digital cameras, he had never encountered a device like this before. The old-fashioned design and weather conditions sparked his curiosity, leaving him eager to understand how it worked and, more importantly, what kind of images it held. The idea of uncovering pictures captured decades ago intrigued him, and he felt a strong urge to unlock the stories frozen within its film. As Travis prepared to take the camera home for closer inspection, he suddenly became aware of his surroundings. Until now, he'd been so focused on the discovery of the old camera that he hadn't taken the time to look around. When he finally did, he was struck by an eerie realization. This part of the forest felt entirely unfamiliar to him. Despite his extensive experience in these woods, he had never seen this particular area before. The trees seemed denser, the atmosphere heavier, and there was a strange, unsettling silence. Travis felt a shiver run down his spine as he took in the peculiar setting, realizing there was something different, almost forgotten, about this hidden corner of the forest. Travis had always felt a deep connection to these woods, knowing most trails and hidden spots like the back of his hand. Yet, with such a vast expanse, he sometimes stumbled upon areas he hadn't seen before. However, this particular spot felt distinctly different from any he'd previously encountered. It wasn't just an unexplored corner of the forest. It bore clear signs of human presence. Scattered remnants hinted that people had once occupied this place, perhaps even stayed for an extended period. Old campfire remains, worn patches in the earth, and makeshift shelters hinted at long-abandoned activity. But judging by the weathered look of everything, it was obvious that this had happened many years ago, leaving an eerie feeling lingering in the air. As Travis ventured further into the strange part of the forest, he noticed a large area that had been partially cleared. Though some trees still stood tall, numerous stumps scattered across the ground suggested that at least half of the trees had been cut down at some point. His curiosity grew as he inspected the surroundings more closely. Among the overgrown grass and fallen leaves, he spotted remnants of old fireplaces, makeshift benches, and even crude chairs fashioned from logs and branches. The ground showed faint traces where tents might have been pitched, marking what appeared to be a long-abandoned campsite. This discovery added to the mystery, leaving him to wonder who had once stayed here and why they had left so suddenly. As Travis stood in the midst of the secluded, abandoned campsite, a flood of questions filled his mind. What had happened here, so deep within the forest, in a location that was difficult to reach? The entire area was now overgrown, reclaimed by the forest over time. Vines and moss covered much of what was left, and the dense undergrowth made it challenging to explore without disrupting the natural landscape. Travis felt conflicted. While he wanted to uncover the truth behind this forgotten spot, he didn't want to disturb the forest's reclamation of the site. Faced with the choice of searching further or preserving the scene, he realized that any answers he found might come at a cost to the natural setting. Amid the eerie remnants of the abandoned campsite, Travis clung to a small glimmer of hope the old, weather-beaten camera might hold the answers he sought. Perhaps its photos could reveal who had camped here and why this place had been deserted so long ago. Travis knew that without the photos, the truth behind the isolated campsite would remain a mystery. Well, if the images showed nothing out of the ordinary, he could forget the unease and let the forest reclaim it. But as he accessed the pictures, The truth was anything but normal. What he saw was deeply disturbing, way more than he had fathomed, and would haunt him long after. Although he had left that eerie sight, he could feel that something was incomplete. He returned within 48 hours with a mystery and a group of fellow rangers. He wanted to see with them what really happened there. He did not know how shocking their finding was going to be. In base, Travis pulled out the photo and showed them to senior rangers, fully expecting that this was an area or perhaps a vintage camera one of them recognized. The area they didn't remember, he says, but their expressions shifted when he pulled out a camera type once used by rangers who documented unusual finds in the woods, since decommissioned as digital equipment did the job quite well. Its presence in the deep would beg more questions than answers. Then came the partially visible serial number on the camera. Senior rangers explained that every issued camera was documented along with the name of the assigned ranger. If they could match this number to the old records, they might discover the history of the camera and possibly the truth about the abandoned campsite. Decades of dirt and grime film files were finally being opened as they dived into tracing the origin of the device. The records finally shed light on the camera and its owner. It once belonged to a ranger named Evelyn, who disappeared without a trace 28 years ago. Her disappearance sent shock waves through the park community, leaving her end an unsolved mystery even to this day. Travis remembered her name from tales passed on through rangers, a cautionary tale never resolved. A chill thus ran down his spine as he came to realize this was her camera. She had been a young, promising ranger when she disappeared. The leading theory at the time was that she had become lost and succumbed to the elements or an animal attack. Searches yielded nothing, and over time, her case faded into legend. Now, this long-lost camera in Travis's hands was the first tangible link to her in nearly 3 decades, reigniting the haunting mystery of her fate. Inside the camera, an old film roll became the most important evidence. If developed, it could expose Evelyn's final moments. The years of exposure to elements, however, made the condition of the film suspect. Rangers worried that an attempt to open the camera might result in further damage to whatever fragile contents were inside. With tender, exacting effort, they managed to get the roll out, praying that it had survived the passage of time. Determined to develop the film, Travis searched high and low for anyone who had the expertise in handling it. The techniques required for such delicate work had long since been retired by modern labs. Frustrated, he was just about to give up when he came upon a vintage photography forum where enthusiasts still practiced the lost art of restoring films. Among them was Michael, who specialized in reviving even the most deteriorated film. Travis called Michael and explained how urgent it was and the story behind Evelyn's disappearance. The mystery intrigued Michael, and he decided to take on the challenge. It wasn't until they finally met at his workshop that the air would fill with anticipation. As Michael looked at the fragile film, he warned recovery was uncertain, yet promised he did his best, and Travis could only hold on to hope. This was the last chance for the revelation of Evelyn's story. By the time Michael started the sensitive development process, Travis had reached the breaking point of anticipation. Every step needed to be precise. Every second felt to Travis like an eternity as he paced restlessly outside the darkroom, his heart racing. What if the images were too damaged to show anything? He could feel the weight of the mystery weighing hard upon him, knowing full well that whatever came out of that film would be either long-awaited answers or more mystery. What if Evelyn's story remained a mystery, forever locked away in that damaged roll? Despite his efforts to stay calm, his thoughts kept returning to the fragile film submerged just a room away. He tried to distract himself by studying the fascinating artifacts around Michael's workshop, each piece of photography history carrying its own story. But none could hold his attention for long, and his thoughts inevitably returned to the hope and fear of what they might, or might not, discover. The door to the darkroom creaked open, and Michael emerged, holding a set of developed photos in his hands. His face conveyed a mix of astonishment and deep reverence, as if he'd just witnessed something extraordinary. He met Travis's gaze, his expression serious, yet filled with a sense of purpose. "You were right," he began, his voice carrying the weight of the discovery. "These aren't just ordinary photos. They tell a story that's been hidden for too long and needs to be shared." Travis felt his pulse quicken as Michael's words sank in, a mix of relief and anticipation filling him. The long-buried images held the potential to finally shed light on Evelyn's mysterious disappearance. With great care, Travis laid the newly developed photos side by side on a wooden table, inspecting them closely. An unsettling aura surrounded the images. Each seemed to be taken from a hidden, almost voyeuristic perspective. It was as if the photographer had intentionally concealed their presence, shooting from behind branches and thick foliage. The forest elements often partially obscured the main subjects, giving the photos an air of secrecy and mystery. As Travis examined each frame, he felt a chill. The photos told a story shrouded in the shadows of the forest, where something or someone seemed to be watching from the cover of nature's embrace. The scenes hinted at a story far more unsettling than he had anticipated. One photo immediately caught Travis's attention. Though blurred and slightly out of focus, it captured several figures standing together in the shadows. Their clothing was unusual, with styles and details that didn't match any modern or familiar period, creating an unsettling effect. The attire seemed almost foreign, as if from a distant era or realm, completely out of place in the forest setting. The way the figures stood, deliberately positioned, added to the mystery, suggesting this was no ordinary gathering. A sense of ritual or purpose radiated from the scene, and Travis felt a chill as he realized the photos might hold the key to a hidden chapter of the forest's past, one more enigmatic than he had imagined. As Travis examined the photos, one particular image revealed an intriguing sight. Among the thick forest foliage, faint outlines of canvas tents and wooden structures appeared. It looked like the camp he had discovered, only here it was shown in its prime. The setup wasn't haphazard. The tents were arranged in an organized fashion, and sturdy wooden supports hinted at a more permanent or planned settlement. This was no mere overnight campsite. It seemed like a well-thought-out, established gathering place, likely meant for a specific purpose. The photo conveyed an eerie sense of secrecy, as if those who created this camp had intentionally hidden it deep within the forest. Travis felt a surge of anticipation, certain that these images held answers waiting to be unraveled. As Travis moved through each photograph, he felt pieces of a larger story slowly coming together, though not yet clear enough to fully grasp. The photos revealed shapes, shadows, and hints of figures, each frame adding another layer to the mystery without offering any definitive answers. The penultimate image held yet another teasing fragment. Something about it suggested significance, a vital clue that was still just out of reach. Despite its intrigue, this photo, like the others, stopped short of offering the clarity Travis yearned for. The unresolved nature of the images only deepened his curiosity, leaving him hopeful and apprehensive about the final picture and what it might reveal. With his heart racing, Travis turned to the last photograph. The image struck him immediately, freezing him in place. In the foreground, a seemingly ordinary camp scene lay undisturbed, with familiar elements from the previous photos. But in the background, a line of figures could be seen, their forms hazy yet distinct, steadily approaching the camp. Their expressions were unreadable, yet their purposeful strides hinted at a pressing intent. The chilling contrast between the peaceful camp and the advancing figures sent a shiver down Travis's spine, as if he were witnessing the prelude to something ominous. This final image hinted at a deeper mystery than he had anticipated, turning the story in a haunting, unexpected direction. As Travis absorbed the final image, he felt a strange mix of dread and satisfaction. The photographs had revealed an unsettling glimpse into a story long buried in the forest's depths, a story of hidden gatherings, strange figures, and an abandoned camp that once held life and purpose. Yet, despite these tantalizing clues, Evelyn's ultimate fate remained shrouded in mystery. The images hinted at danger, secrecy, and perhaps a tragic end, but left much unanswered. Travis realized that, While he may never uncover every detail of what happened, he had brought Evelyn's memory to light. Her story, though incomplete, would live on, a lasting reminder of the secrets the forest held and the enduring echoes of those who had once walked its paths. Echoes